Welcome to the Dr. Diane Show, where we explore revolutionary expansion of mind, body, and soul with me, Dr. Diane Hayden. With over 20 years of expertise as a mindset warrior, perspective shifter, and unshakable optimist, I am dedicated to helping you reach your wildest dreams in business, health, performance, and relationships. Learn about the power of thought and how it shapes your life to take risks, change careers, find love, go on adventures, and live passionately with me, Dr. Diane. Get ready for revolutionary ways of thinking, being, and creating an amazing life. The Dr. Diane Show starts now. Hello, everyone. I am Dr. Diane Hayden, and you are listening to the Dr. Diane Show on Transformation Talk Radio. Stay with us for the next hour, where we will explore revolutionary expansion of mind, body, and soul. Join me on the first and third Thursdays on the Dr. Diane Show, where I have experts from around the country teaching you cutting-edge therapies on longevity medicine, natural health, mindset, and soul purpose to help you shift your perspective and become a mindset warrior like me. And please like and subscribe to my channel, Dr. Diane Hayden. I'm excited today to have Haley Proto with me. She is the manager of the Mantra Room in Windham, Connecticut. It is a wellness space dedicated to mindfulness, community, and holistic well-being. With a passion for creating inclusive, welcoming environments, Haley helps guide programming that supports mental, emotional, and physical balance through meditation, movement, and intentional living. She believes wellness should be accessible, community-driven, and rooted in connection. So welcome, Haley. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me, Diane.
Yeah, awesome. So we're going to get into a bunch of interesting stuff today on the show, but I kind of want to just back up a little bit and let our listeners know a little bit more about you and the Mantra Room itself. Let's tell us about your background and how you got involved in this and working with them.
Okay. So I started actively practicing yoga about 20 years ago, and I was for a long time in the New Haven area and practicing down that way. And that's where I also got my teacher training. From there, I got involved with a yoga nonprofit that catered to people in aging bodies and people in recovery. And so we would work in intensive outpatient settings and in senior centers. And so from there, I think my passion for accessibility within the yoga practice really kind of took off. And so I love working with people who aren't always the person walking into the studio doors, and finding and meeting people that don't know much about yoga and then them becoming very interested in the practices and really feeling the benefits of them just makes me want to share it out even more.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, there are so many people that have such misconceptions about yoga, right? Like,
yeah.
you think like many people think you have to like turn yourself into a pretzel to do it.
Yeah, a common, thing that I get is, oh, I'm not flexible.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Well, that's more reason why you should do it.
Exactly. And, you don't have to start off being flexible. That's not a prerequisite of doing yoga. It's really about wanting to do something for yourself. And you start there, and flexibility is something that comes down the road.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Because it's so much more than just a physical activity, right?
Absolutely. It's all about mind-body connection. Mm-hmm. And that's what we need in order to be present on any given moment. And so building that skill is just like working the muscles of the body.
Yeah. Yeah. So what inspired the creation of the Mantra Room? Tell us a little bit about that. And you're obviously in Willimantic, right? The Windham community of Connecticut.
Yes, we are located in South Windham, right over the Frog Bridge.
Okay.
And the owner, Chris, and I had been practicing together for several years. And she wanted to open a space that felt inclusive and welcoming, because when a person has either a disability or is, functioning in a body that's aging and they're kind of getting used to that type of thing, and they also happen to be new to yoga, it can be challenging to not feel intimidated walking through the studio doors. And so Chris, taking a lot of my yoga classes, really liked the way I presented the information and got people curious about how they could explore the pose in their bodies. And so we really worked together to kind of build this space and make her vision come to fruition.
Yeah, that's wonderful. What's the age range of people that you have?
So right now we have been seeing, college aged students. And I think one of my, uh, older clientels might be in her mid to late 70s.
Wow. Yeah, that's awesome. Because I think there's a lot of people I think that are like younger, in their 30s, 40s, 50s, that are like, oh, I can't do yoga. And now you have a 70-year-old, person doing it. So that just goes to show you, right? It's for
Uh,
everybody, any age.
Absolutely. It's anybody, any age. I think that one of the misconceptions of yoga is that it's for younger people. Um, and the reality is it benefits anyone at any age. And so really kind of drawing in clients that are, over 35 is something I feel strongly about as a woman in her 40s.
Yeah, there was something you said just a second ago that I wanted to just explore. You said, like exploring a pose in that individual's body. So, can you just explain what you mean by that?
Yeah, absolutely. So something my students have heard me say a million times is that if you've only done a pose one way, for example, triangle pose, if you go into triangle pose the exact same way and support yourself identically every single time, how do you know if it's your deepest and best feeling pose? And so, one of the big things in an accessible yoga practice, and something I'm really trying to change the narrative about just in my personal life and my teachings, is the using props. I think that when a person walks into the studio, they kind of view the blocks, bolsters, and blankets as something that is for a beginner, something that is for somebody that can't do something. And while the props absolutely do support beginners and a person that is struggling in a specific pose, the reality is what the props offer is depth,
Mhm.
right? It brings a person to the depth of their pose in their body. We all have different skeletal systems. Everybody's body looks different. I remember one of my mentors said, Google search the head of the femur bone, and you will be blown away by the thousands and thousands of images of that femur bone, right? Being this way, this way, this way, turned in, turned out. And that kind of changed the way I looked at every pose when I saw that. And so some people's skeletal system only allow a certain depth of a pose. And so the prop may be necessary for that particular person in that pose to be a certain way in order to achieve that depth. Otherwise, we're just forcing the body into shapes it doesn't want to or can't be in.
Mhm.
And that can leave people with a feeling of failure or judgment on what they're capable of. And so I find that accessibility being a big part of the practice, and us bringing these props in to kind of explore and feel a pose in different variations of it, really helps us get to know what our body's preference is within that pose specifically.
Right. And I think also, not only when you feel like you can't do something, not only is there a lot of like judgment around that or whatever, but there could also be a lot of pain as well, like in your body. Now, if you're
Absolutely.
associating yoga with it being painful, you're not going to want to do it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's exactly it. And if people feel discouraged, right? How many times can a person get discouraged and give up immediately? Oh, I knew this wasn't for me. Now I'm never doing it again, right?
Yep.
And how many people out there also think, oh, if I can just do a headstand, then I've won. I've reached level 10 of yoga, right? All done.
Right.
So it works both ways, and where this is just an ongoing lifelong practice. And I feel really I have a lot of gratitude for having different mentors that are in different stages of their lives, right? And watching them move into and out of phases of the way they teach, just based on what feels right for their body.
Yeah. And I think there's so much, I guess, in society about having to constantly achieve something, right? Like,
There
whether it's
really
your
is.
exercise program or your weight loss or yoga or whatever, it's like, it really should be more about the journey than, no, I have to get to this goal. And, like, so my background is in exercise physiology, and I talk to people about this all the time, like with their fitness programs and whatnot. It's like, you know, you're going to it's naturally going to change as you get older, just because it's not healthy for you to exercise a particular way in your 60s or 70s than you did in your 20s and your 30s. And that's not bad. It doesn't mean, you're failing or anything like that. It's just, it's like flipping that mindset to a different way of looking at, like, okay, how am I going to do something that's going to continue to benefit my body for the
Mhm.
journey, not just like continue to have to accomplish these things, reach these goals, get to this next thing, and then like, yo, I'm done now, something else.
Absolutely. I could not agree more. And one of the things that I will regularly remind my students, I do also teach at senior centers in Connecticut. One of the big things I'll be talking about is that it is the journey, right? It's not the destination, it's the journey, it's the practice itself. And that to best support our aging body, and sometimes I'll say aging body, and then people kind of like grimace at me.
Yeah.
And then I just laugh and I say, a newborn baby is in an aging body,
You're right. From day one,
right?
right? We're all
So
aging.
let's change
We're all
that
aging.
perspective. Why is the word age such a
Yeah,
bad thing, right?
exactly.
And so
Exactly.
if we look at our fitness journey as being about the best way to support our bodies as we're aging, it's it's going to change.
It is. It's going to
It's
change
going to
everything.
be
I
different.
love it. I love it. We're going to be talking about a lot more. You're listening to the Dr. Diane Show. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll explore more with Haley Proto, manager of the Mantra Room. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. We're back on the Dr. Diane Show with me, Dr. Diane Hayden. But before we continue, I want to make sure everyone knows how to contact me. You can find me at www.drdianehayden.com or at either of my two publications, www.naturalnutmeg.com and www.essentialnaples.com. And you can learn more about Haley Proto at her website, which is www.mantraroomct.com, and that is spelled MANTRAROOMCT.com. So we were just talking a lot about, before the last break, just people's mindsets around aging and how we can actually, I think, use something like yoga to help flip your people having like a negative mindset about like, oh, my body's getting older, I can't do this, I can't do that, and helping people see it's more about the journey and kind of embracing, well, this is what, my body can do now. Maybe there are things I can actually do now that I couldn't do before. in a yoga practice that spans over many years. So I just think it's so interesting, just to kind of like have that discussion and get people to think in a different way. But I wanted to ask you, like, how are you intentionally shaping the Mantra Rooms Foundation as a new wellness space, and why it's so important to you to create this welcoming, judgment-free place of wellness for people to go to and practice?
Thank you. I think the reason why we're really trying to shape this space to feel so welcoming is the amount of people that I've personally come across through be wellness fairs, events going on where we're trying to, let people know about yoga, offer them some free offerings. The amount of people that turn it down because they're too nervous to try it, right? They
Hmm.
feel as though they can't do it. And sometimes that fear can hold us back in life in what we're willing to do. And so when we opened this space, we really had this dream of tons of new people that were new to yoga walking through the doors. And that dream has come to it's been fulfilled.
Wow.
The amount of new students brand new to yoga that have walked through the doors has blown us away. There was even a point where we had to adjust some of the classes we were offering to be even more beginner friendly because we
Wow.
had that many new people who had never tried yoga before. And a lot of the times when you have a new person that's never tried yoga before, what I've noticed is they do have a tendency to either be of a certain age, right, in a certain demographic, or that they've had some type of injury that has held them back from their fitness journey.
Wow. Well, that's such a testament to just you getting your message out there, right? And matching your message to the community, because it clearly was what people needed, because you built it and they came.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that was the I'm glad you mentioned the people who are going through recovery, because that was the other thing that you said earlier that I wanted to touch on. What do you mean by that? Like, when you say people in recovery, are you talking about people who have had, let's say, surgeries, or is it more chronic illness? Is it kind of a combination of both? But what are you seeing, and who is that demographic?
So, with people in recovery that I mentioned before, which was just in regards to my nonprofit work, it was typically people suffering from eating disorders, mental
Hmm.
health issues, substance abuse, things of that nature.
Right.
The yoga practices are very beneficial in those areas of life. Now, one of the things that's interesting to me and has been since day one is that when people are in recovery from surgery, some type of injury, anything like that, they will regularly be recommended by their physicians to try doing yoga. And so it's interesting to me because you get these people who have had something big happen in their lives and they just show up to some yoga class, right? And
Yep.
there's a lot of types of yoga out there. And they're like, my doctor told me to come here. And I'm like, this is a level 3 power class.
Right.
And so
Well,
I
he
just
didn't
always,
specifically say what kind of yoga. It's like, just go do yoga.
and granted, there are a lot of things out there. And so it's interesting to see it from that perspective. And then also the perspective of when I have worked in intensive outpatient settings, which typically happen at medical type facilities. Even the psychologists there, the doctors there are saying, go do yoga, but not even knowing what type it is or
Right.
anything like that. And so I think that it really has strengthened me as a teacher to, on the fly, be able to totally pivot in what it is that we're going to be learning that day. And so having somebody 8 months pregnant walk into a class where you weren't necessarily planning on there being a pregnant person,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Somebody who just had double knee replacements, within the last 6 months, coming in and saying, my doctor said I should do yoga, and having to adjust the class to fit them in.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And it's something I'm more than happy to do. But all of these, doctor recommendations have really challenged me as a teacher to create this inclusive space where I'm supporting maybe the student that's been there every week for 3 years and loves their fitness practice and is very active, and then the person who is still healing, right? And how can I teach a class where both people are being challenged,
Mm-hmm.
but also encouraging them to feel their bodies, to listen to their bodies, because that's the biggest part of the practice.
And isn't that what's great about yoga, honestly, is that it can be so individualized that you can have two, all different kinds of people in one class. And we're not saying that that might be the case for every kind of class, but for certain classes, you can have someone, like you just said, who's pregnant, who's just coming off of knee replacement, who is actually, an experienced yoga practitioner maybe, and is just taking your class. It's like you have a way to make it so that it can be challenging for everybody, but yet inclusionary as well for people who are, it's their first class, or, they're coming back from something and they have to start slower. Whereas with other types of activities, like I'll say strength training is a perfect example, actually. Like you can't just throw somebody into a class like that and oftentimes be able to modify it as easy as it sounds like you can for yoga.
Yes, absolutely. I think that any of the kind of floor mat based classes are are really modifiable. And so that's the beautiful thing. And then it just takes the experience of the teacher to bring that to fruition, right? I'm not probably, first day out of my 200 hour, I would have struggled.
Yeah.
I would have tried my best,
Right.
but through the years, something I pride myself in is being able to teach multiple classes, depending on who's in there, but make it seem as though it's one class for everybody. Yeah.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. And that's how you make it accessible to all people at all stages, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think it's a skill that every yoga teacher does try to cultivate in
Hmm.
the way that they teach. And that it's something that they can absolutely do by even themselves attending more accessible yoga practices.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Right. I would
Um,
even say, I had been teaching chair yoga, for example, for 3 to 5 years, maybe, before I had a hysterectomy. And it was the hysterectomy that changed the way I teach chair yoga.
wow.
Right. So something that I come across a lot, especially I teach and partner with studios to run teacher trainings, for example. And one of the things that will come across is people feeling like the things they've experienced in life, their physical limitations might hold them back from being the best teacher they can be. And I always say that it's those experiences that make you a better teacher.
Hmm.
And it's those experiences that you've gone through that are going to build your clientele, right? I struggle with my knees. And so who is my following? people who have had knee replacements, people who have arthritis in their knees. So I tend to be more popular in you know age settings where it's like people 45 and over,
Mhm.
right? That's my personal demographic. Um, and it's because what I'm talking about, my experience in my body resonates with them.
Yeah.
And so
It's so
every teacher's experience with their own body, their shoulder issues, their knee issues, having a hysterectomy,
yeah.
right? All of these things are learning experiences.
It's so interesting that you say that because I would say like 90%, maybe more, of the people that I have on my show are are different types of holistic practitioners. And typically, if you asked any one of them why they have a particular niche, it's almost always because, well, I had that issue, and so now those people were drawn to me. I mean, it's amazing, like how many times that happens, and it's probably not by coincidence either. It's like there's a
There's a
purpose, like there's a
reason.
reason why you're doing what you're doing.
Absolutely.
So I
Yeah.
love this. We're going to get into so much more. You're listening to the Dr. Diane Show with me, Dr. Diane Hayden. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be talking more with Haley Proto. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. We're back on the Dr. Diane Show with me, Dr. Diane Hayden, and I am talking today with Haley Proto. She is the manager of the Mantra Room in South Windham, Connecticut. You can learn more about her at her website, which is www.mantraroomct.com. That's spelled mantraroomct.com. And when we were just going to break, we were talking about like how many practitioners I have on the show who their niche is basically what illness they had. Like they had Lyme disease, so they became a Lyme disease specialist, or they had, some type of chronic disease, whether it's like related to digestive issues or metabolic issues, diabetes, something like that. And it turns out that their practice is now mostly specialized on what they went through. And so you were saying that that's kind of the same with yoga, right? Like
Mhm.
people gravitate to you who have had issues with their knees. And um, what I wanted to just touch on again was one thing you said, like some yoga instructors might think, or people who want to be a yoga instructor might think, well, I can't teach because I have these knee problems, or I have this other problem, I'm not that good at it. But it might actually be kind of like a calling for you. Like, no, you need to teach it because you're going to attract people like yourself that would never get into yoga if it wasn't for you.
Absolutely. I can't stress that enough. I mean, the amount of people that are afraid to try yoga because of A, B, and C. And so having teachers that have experience and are teaching in lieu of having said quote unquote issue
Mhm.
is really a gift, right? Every person that you it's as if you're making them feel as though they're not alone,
Right.
right? And they can view the things that you do as the teacher as things that they can work towards too. Now, what that outcome is, let's say it's a specific pose like a headstand. It's not always going to look the same for everybody,
Mhm.
right? But you learn to be in your body, you learn to do things your way, and you support yourself in the best way you know how. And so I always argue that, our life experiences help to form the way we're teaching people. And so having things like, you know, a metal rod in your spine,
Mhm.
knee replacement, hip replacement, right? Plantar fasciitis. All these things can actually be used as a way of teaching people yoga and a way of teaching people how to teach yoga, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Um, when we were talking earlier about the type of people that you see that are in recovery, I wanted to touch back on this because in my mind I was thinking, oh, recovery from like a surgery or recovery from, I don't know, like an injury or something like that. And that's, yes, you do work with people like that. But more so, I think you were referring to people that were in recovery from some type of addiction, or maybe people that are struggling with a mental health issue. And so I wanted to get your take on how you think practices like yoga and meditation and breath work support mental health in everyday life for everyone, and also people who are working through mental health issues.
Yeah, absolutely. So breath work and meditation really, and the yoga practice in general, because these things really all work together. But these practices really help strengthen our ability to be present. And being present in any given moment sounds easy, and yet it's not. And it not being easy when it sounds easy is super frustrating to people, right? Oh,
Yep.
I tried that meditation thing once and it didn't work,
Right.
right? And so the reason why the ability to be present is so important is because when we're worrying about the past or the future, this increases our stress and anxiety and can really send us spiraling. And the only way to alleviate that spiraling is to be able to be present in the given moment. Why? Because we cannot change things about the past, right? So give up all hope of that, because
Right.
it can't happen,
But
right?
we love to worry about it.
Oh, we love to worry about it. We love
Yeah.
that, right? And so, and with the future, we really don't have any control of that either. And I
Right.
always say to my recovery folks, you have negative control, right? I say you have zero control, and you're shaking your head. Yes, you understand. You have negative 1,000 control, right? So there's no control of it. The only thing you do have control over is how you're going to try to manipulate things to force the outcome that you want. But you cannot control what the outcome is. I can't control if I get into a car accident on the way to that job interview, right?
Right.
I
Yeah.
can't control how my in-laws will take this news that I'm presenting them with, right? You don't control. And so we worry about it, and it gets us all up in our heads. And when you bring practices like meditation and breath work in, you are practicing the skill of being not here, but here in your body, and being present in that given moment. And when you are fully present, your brain can't worry about the future or reminisce on the past. And so it's this really good skill to build, and you build it like a muscle, just like you would weight training. And it all comes down to something I kind of just nickname the catch, right? And so here's a little like tip and trick about it. All you have to do is catch yourself not being mindful, right? And so I can go days without being mindful. I have to catch myself doing it in order to have a mindful moment. And so the hardest and first step is the catch. And then the part that is frustrating to people is that your reward for successfully catching yourself, not being mindful, is to do it 1,000 more times,
Right.
right? You don't do it once and then you're like,
Yep.
I've won
I did
yoga.
it.
I'm cured, right?
Right.
So sadly, that is not the case. Your reward is to keep doing it. But if you keep doing it, you are going to do it a little quicker, a little better, a little longer each time.
Yeah, it's
How you
practice, just like
That's how
anything
you
else,
build
right?
it and practice it.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep. It's a practice, just like yoga is a practice, just like you practice an
absolutely.
instrument, or your fitness routine is a practice or whatever it is. Yeah, it's the same thing.
Absolutely. And when you practice this, you have the ability to increase joy in your life, right? Wouldn't we all love to increase joy? Even if I have a happy life, who doesn't want more joy, right? Joy is not something you can plan. It is a present moment experience. And so you are only able to experience joy by being present,
Mm-hmm.
right? And what is the seed of joy? Gratitude, right? And gratitude is another present moment feeling, experience. And so when we practice being in the here and now, and it can be as simple as noticing the taupe color of the walls of the room I'm in, right? Feeling the padding of the desk chair that I'm sitting in. And when we do that, gratitude can find its place, right? I'm so excited to be on this show. This is my first time ever doing something like this, but I'm really enjoying the conversation. How nice to talk about what I love.
Right.
Right? There's the gratitude. And then joy comes, right? Here's my face. Joy comes because I'm present enough and aware enough of this gratitude to let the joy flood in. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and no one's ever going to believe that you've never done this before because you're
Well,
like a
good.
pro.
Good. I'm a professional.
I'll
I
tell you
fooled
that right
everyone.
now. Oh my God, too funny. I think also, you know, you said like when you in the present moment, you have, you can experience joy in all this and the reasons why you want to do this practice. It's to me, it's also about the effect it has on your relationships, your relationship with yourself, your significant other, your family, your parent, like whatever it is. Like when you're able to be in the present moment and not, completely in the past, in the future, worrying, whatever, it makes such a huge difference on your personal relationships.
It absolutely does. It really benefits them regardless of the relationship. And I say that only because one of the hard things is you'll put in all this work to be a more mindful person, but the people around you sometimes are not doing the same thing, right? And
Yep.
so if you're with like-minded people, they will look at you as an inspiration and they will be trying to be more mindful too. And it can really help a relationship grow and blossom, right? But that's not the case for everybody in every single relationship, right? We just came off the holidays, so that can always be a little difficult, but it will help you to be able to let go of the frustration of the lack of control that you have over other people doing and being what you want. And
Yeah.
that is a really beautiful gift.
Yes, that. And also, it will allow you to be able to not react every single time someone triggers you. Like you'll
Right?
have that ability to
Yeah.
pause and
The
be like,
emotional
okay,
control.
exactly. Like
Yeah,
I'm not gonna, whatever this person just said to me or did or whatever, I'm not going to, fly off the handle and then the next thing you know, it's
absolutely.
like a full on fight between the two of you.
Yeah, and
But
some people full on fight, or some people are like me, where in the moment I'm so shocked when something goes wrong that I'm like, "Ugh," and I don't know what to say. But then 3 days later, I think of the perfect,
of course,
right, composed,
yes.
like, like you're not affecting me, come back. And mindfulness helps do that,
Oh,
right?
totally.
Because you're less affected emotionally by somebody else's triggers,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And so
Totally.
it's really handy in relationships, all aspects of them, all
I
aspects.
I agree. I agree. This is awesome. We're going to get into a little bit more. We're going to take a quick break right now. You're listening to the Dr. Diane Show with me, Dr. Diane Hayden. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. We're back on the Dr. Diane Show with me, Dr. Diane Hayden. You can learn more about me at my website, which is www.drdianehayden.com. And I am talking today with Haley Proto from the Mantra Room. Her website is www.mantraroomct.com. That's spelled MANTRAROOMCT.com. So we just had a great discussion about just, how important meditation and breath work and yoga and all that is in helping us just be more present and practice that like on a daily basis, basically. Like, how can we be more in the present moment, which helps us so much from a stress reduction response to our relationships to all that. So the what I hear people in my head saying is, "Oh yeah, I'd love to be able to do this, but I'm so busy. Like, I'd love to start doing yoga, but I'm so busy." Like, what advice do you have? And it's not it's not an untruth in our today's society, because I feel like time is going by so fast. We're pushed to do more and more and more. And when people say like, "Oh my gosh, I have all these things," like I
Mhm.
run a business, or I have my job, and I have my family, and maybe I'm taking care of older parents and all this stuff. Like, what advice do you say to them who they're just like, "I am tapped out. I don't know how I'm going to fit yoga or meditation or anything in my already crazy life."
Yeah. I mean, this is an excellent point, an excellent question. How do we fit it in? I think one of the biggest things is to let people know and kind of that they're right. They are so busy, right? I'm so busy. And it can be absolutely hard to do. So I just want to validate those feelings first and foremost. I think that we are in a busy life because it's considered like a societal norm to go, 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 go. And
Yeah.
that we very rarely allow for rest and even reflection or processing of what happened. And I think that if we started to ask ourselves, what would it look like to allow myself to process my day? What would that be? And so we're not even talking about the movement, the asana of yoga. What would it look like to get home at the end of your day? And I apologize, but doom scrolling your phone is not processing your day, right?
Absolutely not.
I'm
You
guilty
get
too.
back
I'm
hours just
guilty,
eliminating that.
right? So we'll just acknowledge that. But what would it look like to get home, right? And when I get home, the kids are wanting my attention, right? They're asking me what's for dinner, right? Get situated, which you got to get situated. And then could you take 5 minutes to sit in a chair, right? And just think, okay, this was a really busy day, right? How am I feeling about it? Maybe you're not feeling anything. Okay, well, you did the self-care. You sat down and let yourself process and you hop up. But maybe there is something that you just want to like, right? Relax your physical body from. And if you did that, what would your life look like? Right? So just allowing yourself to process the day, right? And then what that leads to is processing bigger things, right? The passing of a loved one, the losing of a job, the computer crashing, where everything in life is impermanent. We don't like to think of it as that. And a person knows that everything's impermanent, but we like to think of things as permanent, right? So not knowing, but can you feel that things are impermanent? And I say it that way because when you embrace the idea of impermanence, then you are fully present with everything going on in your life, and you have the time to process things. And when we give ourselves that gift of processing, then our wellness practices can really grow from there. Right? So I'm too busy to have self-care. What does self-care actually look like to you as a person? It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be, it can be, I took the whole day off from work and I scheduled myself as a sensory deprivation float and a massage, and I'm taking myself out for dinner. Fabulous. That sounds great. Do you know how many sensory deprivation floats I have on my float account that are just sitting there? More than I'd like to admit.
Right.
Right. So sometimes the thing about the big self-care is it takes a lot of time. And so I always encourage people to start a self-care practice teeny tiny. Right? Can I do that one calf stretch that always feels so good in that yoga class I take a couple times a month? Could I do it every day? Right? Could I take 10 minutes for myself just sitting and processing my day? Could I make a cup of tea before bed and just drink it? Right? Not have things on screens, just drink my tea and watch the cats. I don't know. Do you see where I'm going with this? Like it can
Yeah,
be teeny tiny, and then you
exactly.
build from there. You build from there.
I think that's so important because I think so many people feel like, well, and this isn't, it's not just with self-care, it's with everything. It's with goals, it's with, starting an exercise routine, fitness routine, whatever it might be. Everybody thinks that they have to bite off this huge chunk. And when you start to meditate, I mean, the way that I learned, and I thought the same thing until I learned that, you know what? It's 5 minutes. Maybe it's 3 minutes. Like literally just start with 5 minutes. And you're saying the same thing basically. Like just take 5 minutes at the end of the day for your self-care. Like that's all it takes. And I think people will be surprised how easy it is to do just the 5 minutes. And that will make them want to do more and figure out a way how to do more, honestly.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I would argue, right, even if a person were to commit to just 5 minutes of processing their day, right? Going to one chair, sitting down, processing their day. Could that sitting in the chair then become a meditation practice?
Yeah.
Right? There's all these little footholes in our life where we could be going further into it, into anything, if we let ourselves. It's just the practice of consistency.
Hmm.
And so I have days where I will meditate for 60 minutes. I have more days where I'm lucky if I make it 30 seconds. And the
Right.
whole meditation practice is me sitting there being like, oh, I'm thinking about work again. Oh, I'm thinking about work again. Oh, that work email really got under my skin because I'm thinking about it again.
Yep.
Right. And I'm feeling like I'm getting nowhere, but I'm staying in that chair for 5 minutes.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. So, what's next for the mantra room?
Well, we want to continue to grow. We are a new studio. We only opened in June. Um, but we want to continue to do it in a way that feels really meaningful, offering thoughtful workshops, teacher trainings, and hopefully expanding our class schedule further. Um, and really what we want is that when people walk through our studio doors, could there be a feeling of ease,
Hmm.
right? And an ease just to be there, right? Just to have made it to their class, just to take that time to get onto the mat, whether it's a slow moving practice or a quick moving practice. Just wanting to be there, right? And I hope that I do believe our current students, right, very dedicated, feel that sense of ease. And I hope that people coming in brand new can even touch a sense of that ease as they walk through the door.
Yeah. I don't see how they couldn't, because I'm telling you, every time I go to a yoga class or a massage, or if I go to the flow place, like literally as soon as I walk through that door, I'm like, like that's just, you know,
Yeah,
and it's so important now. I mean, more than ever, that we do take this time for self-care, honestly.
absolutely.
So I hope that people will at least do a couple minutes to 5 minutes in a chair like you recommended, and then see where it goes from there. But I want to thank you so much, Haley. This was awesome chatting with you, and it sounds like you have an amazing space, and I hope people will come visit.
I hope so too. Thank you so much for having me on, Diane. I'm a big fan and it's an honor to be here.
Oh, thank you. It was great. It was lots of fun. And I want to thank all of you for tuning into the Dr. Diane Show. Please join me the first and third Thursdays at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, where I have experts from around the country teaching you cutting edge therapies on longevity medicine, natural health, mindset, and soul purpose to help you shift your perspective and become a mindset warrior like me. And please like and subscribe to my channel, Dr. Diane Hayden. We'll see you back here next time. Thank you for tuning into the Dr. Diane Show, revolutionary expansion of mind, body, and soul with me, Dr. Diane Hayden. Tune in every Thursday at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern on transformationtalkradio.com. Center your thoughts on what you want and shut the door on every suggestion of fear, worry, or lack from your own consciousness or the consciousness around you. Once you master that, everything is possible. To learn more about me, Dr. Diane, and receive a free digital subscription of my magazine, visit naturalnutmeg.com.